Today I'm going to be going through the wheel bearing replacement in a 2007 four-wheel drive Toyota FJ Cruiser. What's going on, guys? So as I said, this is a 2007 Toyota FJ Cruiser. My front wheel bearings are completely shot. It's not even really drivable anymore, and we're gonna do some little inspections and just find out how bad they really are. Hopefully I don't have to replace the hub also. I can just replace the wheel bearings. These went from just a regular street rumble to getting exponentially worse in just about 2 or 3 days. Along with that, there's metal smells. It's to the point right now to where I have to pump my brakes to stop because the rotors are shifting and they're pushing the pistons into the caliper. There's no leaks, there's nothing in the brake lines that suggests there is a leak or ever has been a leak. Now, the tools that you'll need for this job, I have them listed out in the description, but just running through them really quickly. What you're going to need, you are going to need a 35mm socket, a 17mm socket, a 14mm wrench, mini sledge, and a pry bar. 5mm Allen key. I have a very small flathead screwdriver and then a normal size flathead screwdriver. And those will be used to pull the plug off the wheel sensor. And then for torquing the axle nut back on, I have a torque wrench. So torque specs will also be down in the description below. And if I left any tools out when I was describing that, then those will be in the description as well, and what those tools are used for. So jumping right into this, you do have to lift this vehicle, so you want it to be on steady ground. You want to chalk up your tires, pull the e-brake, all of that safety stuff. If you're not comfortable with jacking up a vehicle, taking your wheels off and getting underneath it, then stop here, take it to somebody else, have a friend do this, give them some beer for helping you out. So if you're not comfortable doing that, then you really shouldn't be doing this job. Since this is four-wheel drive, there's an axle nut that's back here behind the center cap, but it's not as simple as removing the center cap to access the axle nut. Once I take the center cap off, there's a metal cap that's hammered on to cover the axle nut and to protect that. So I'm gonna have to take the wheel off, get that metal cap off, put the wheel back on, lower the vehicle back on the ground, and then take my breaker bar and the 35mm socket. Break that loose and then jack the vehicle back up. I'm not going to have that part in this video. I'll have that link down in the description for that other video. I've recorded that already. If you have an impact, it makes it far easier. You could just force it off with the impact, but I don't have an impact. I've got to do it this way. It's all fun, right? It's all fun. See, it seems like the wheel is not all the way secured with lug nuts, but it is. And that is a lot of play. Should not be hardly any play. That's definitely enough to move the rotor and make the piston push back into the caliper. Axle nut's broken free. Again, if you want to watch that in a video, click on the video down in the description. The rotor was already loose. I didn't have to break that loose, but a few firm taps with the hammer will usually break it loose. Don't hit your threads. On this vehicle speed sensor, there's a little clip. This plastic usually breaks fairly easily, so the last thing that I want to do is break that. Just like that. No broken clip. This 12mm bolt needs to come out. It holds in a bracket that holds in the brake line. You don't have to remove the brake line to remove the caliper. Just have some kind of a strap handy to support the caliper so that it's not hanging by the lines. Also, this bracket holds the wire that goes to the vehicle speed sensor. Since I've already disconnected that connector, that I can snake that up. Small screwdriver. I'm basically prying under the lid with these little black clips that hold in this wire that goes to the speed sensor. Just two of them. That's out of the way. This is out of the way. There was a 10mm bolt that held a bracket in that this clipped into on the factory upper control arm. This is not a factory part. It's not hard to remove. Right on the back of the caliper, you have two 17mm bolts. Be careful not to bend the brake line. So you got one bolt loose. Grab your strap and have it ready while you're unbolting the other one. I also usually try to not get fingerprint on my rotor. Now that the rotor's out of the way, it gives me a little bit more space. 5mm hex. Loose. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Try to pull straight out. That rubber seal is still intact, a little O-ring. There are metal shavings on the magnet, so I'm going to get those off. It's a 17 wrench that this will take. Alright, they're all loose. That's that. Obviously you can't put your wheels back on. Everything's got to stay off like this. This has to be pressed out. If you have a bearing press, you can press it out. But I'm taking this to a shop so that a buddy of mine can press it out. But it looks like my hub assembly is okay. And just so your calipers aren't hanging overnight, you can actually bolt those back in. Calipers back in, secured, and I don't want to get my dirty fingers all over this one. So it's staying in the bag pretty much. This centerpiece with the spline on it connects with this whole assembly here, where you can see the other side of the spline. This is the expensive part. The wheel bearing isn't as expensive. This specific brand that's going in is AC Delco. Buy the Moog wheel bearings, M-O-O-G wheel bearings. Moog is the brand. They're the better designed. Guys say that they last longer off-roading, but these I am going to test how long they last because they are AC Delco. I didn't have time to order the Moog ones just because of how quickly this got bad. I need this in 3-4 days to haul a trailer. I will put this down in the description below whenever these do fail, just saying how long they last from the point of making this video and installing them. Alright, so the bearings are all pressed out and then pressed back in, so it's back to how it's supposed to be. My friend that did it said this was pretty much completely hollowed out. This whole, like the whole bearing, all you had was the outer race, which is the metal part around the outside. And the inner race was completely destroyed. There was nothing there anymore. He sent me a picture. I'll try to have that pop up. Everything was completely shot. So it went to that in like 2 days. And this is the passenger side. I had it done anyway, but that one seemed okay. I wrote right hand on this one and I wrote left hand on that one, just in case there was any difference in the parts. It doesn't look like there is. The hubs look completely identical between left hand and right hand side. Pretty sure they are completely identical, but either way, I wrote right hand on one and left hand on the other. So I'm going to switch them up. I'm going to put it back the way it's supposed to be. Let's get to putting this thing back together. I cleaned this out really well on the inside. There was a lot of junk, and I've just got some regular wheel bearing grease that I'm going to smear on the inside. Half of the box end wants to spread out a little bit. When that happens, it has a tendency to round off the head of the bolt. So if you're using one of these, you might want to come back and tighten it up with a 17 closed-end wrench. Whenever this axle does torque back down, you got to set the wheel on the ground, so you'll leave the center cap off. And I've got some pretty weird wear, as you can see there, from how the brake pads were pushing against it. Put this bracket back in place, tightening the 12mm back right now. Those wheel speed sensors back in. So the left and the right wheel sensor are different part numbers. The one that ends in 89543, so the one that has a 3 at the end of that, so it's 89543 60050. So that one goes on the driver's side. my torque wrench set to 186 foot-pounds. There you go. One click and stop. Don't go beyond a click. That's it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching. It's a pretty simple, pretty straightforward process, but it is a little bit tedious. So if you notice anything that I left out, then please leave it down in the comments down below. I'll make sure to try to pin that at the top of the comments. So please let me know. I want to know if I left anything out. But right now I'm gonna focus on doing the passenger side because it is still not done. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and God bless you guys.